Welcome to High Definition You. It's Gitanjali here, and this week it is my immense pleasure to welcome the wonderful Andrea. She and I have been doing one-to-one coaching for the last few months, and she's here to share her story. Andrea, tell us a little bit about who you are and what do you do in the world?
I'm Andrea Hunt, and I'm a partner for BDO, which is a professional services firm. As part of my partner role, I lead a technical accounting business stream in the property sector, and I also lead our quality and risk strategy for the business services and outsourcing business. I also have a wider role in which I'm the BDO programme partner for the 30% Club mentoring business, women across a wide range of organisations and businesses.
So quite a lot of balls that you're juggling in the air, well and truly. What was life like? What were some of the challenges that you were experiencing, professionally and in life in general before we started working together?
Yes, I guess my role is extremely busy, and leading the business areas that I've mentioned requires huge amounts of time and energy. And before the coaching program with you, I guess I was feeling quite frustrated that I had minimal time and headspace to focus on developing sort of the wider strategy, innovate new ideas and get that thinking for my team and for our clients, and to help and support developing my people with their own career development. And my future progression in the firm is for me to elevate my current role as a leader of the business, to be more strategic and challenge and add value. And I couldn't see how I was going to unlock that and how I needed to get to that more senior leadership role. And I guess I also needed to really understand the part that I had to play in the partner team, what my role actually is and how I can make that unique and successful for me. So I was struggling with the time to focus on that and to really be comfortable with delegating some of the more operational aspects of my work, not to be involved in the detail and to not be involved with everything and to be less in control of everything. But for me to feel comfortable with that and to let go and to have that confidence. And I was struggling to see how I was going to be comfortable with that transition, and what I needed to achieve to be the successful leader. So that's how things were really before we started working together.
And we had an initial conversation, as is always the way, and then there's always kind of the thought processes that come up potentially for people. Was there any resistance that came up for you before you said yes to going ahead with our coaching?
Yes, there was some doubt. Well, first of all, I would say that I was hugely grateful to be offered the opportunity to work with you and to receive some coaching. But then in my usual style, I wanted to be completely committed and dedicated to the time and to the work that came out of the sessions. And I was really, really concerned that obviously, as I've mentioned, my time was so limited, so busy. And whether or not I would be able to make the commitment to prepare for the sessions, to think about it and to actually really protect my time to do it justice. And I guess I felt the doubt arise as to whether or not I could actually take that time out just for me, to feel that I needed that protected time for my own development. So I did commit the time, and I have also seen the impact that it's had on me from the work and the support you've given me. And I was also encouraged and inspired by the impact of your work on a colleague. So I just went forward with the opportunity. I'm really eager to experience what I was going to learn from you with your experience.
And you were so wonderfully committed from the get-go. And I think what was great, well, certainly from your time perspective, is it wasn't onerous, right? That's a big part of how we approach it. High Definition You, it's like it's not lots of pre-work, and it can be easy and graceful, and the transformation can happen from that place. So what happened? You said yes, and what have the results been? What has changed for you, as a leader, but also personally? And then maybe a little bit about what does that mean? You said that you've been given this opportunity from a work perspective, and oftentimes people come to us that way, and their business is paying for it, so they want to see a business result. But let's start with what are the results? What's changed for you personally and as a leader, and then maybe what your team's seeing differently.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, first of all, and leading on from the last point, I absolutely really looked forward to the session. So rather than thinking, oh my gosh, I've got another session to book into an already busy diary, this is one area that I absolutely was committed to, but absolutely embraced the time and enjoyed what we were going to discuss. And I was curious as to what was going to come out of each of those sessions as well. But also, if I didn't have time to think about it or prepare for it, I did often come to you and said, not really thought about much since we last met. But, that was great because then we worked on what was actually happening in my head at that time. So, I would obviously encourage people not to worry about the preparation if they haven't got that time to begin with. So what's happened since working together? Well, quite a lot in terms of sort of me as a person and my personal style. I'm certainly more confident and assured, I think, in my role as a leader. And I've really got some great examples now where I have been more comfortable to delegate and give more responsibility and empower some of my team. Whereas before I probably would have held back from that. I wanted to keep control, I wanted to keep detail. And I've got some really fantastic people in my senior team who also are focusing on their future development and leadership. So some really exciting projects that I was leading on, I've actually given those over to those people. And it's brilliant to see them really be positive and take on that leadership role themselves. And that's enabled me to have more time to sort of step up and to be that overall leader and contribute in a different way. So that's been very liberating. I would have questioned whether or not I could have actually achieved that. And so the coaching, the support you've given me has given me huge amounts of self-belief and confidence. And the reaction that I have from my people, is, again, it's very rewarding because I can see their contentment with what they're doing, and they're going to actually be really, really successful with those projects. I'm very confident about that. And I think, in the workplace with my fellow partners and my colleagues, I think I'm much more assertive and calmer with my presentations and the delivery of those presentations. I've stopped overthinking, which I've tended to do in the past, and I stopped taking things so personally. So sometimes I would come out of a presentation, out of a meeting, and I would analyse it to death afterwards. I'd beat myself up a little bit about it as well. I don't do that so much now. I feel very confident that I've delivered what I've needed to deliver. Don't get everything right, of course, we're human beings. But I've just felt in control and very, very assured that I've made a great contribution.
I love that. And I mean, you are deeply analytical, and the work that you do is deeply analytical. So, it's about leveraging how your brain is wired, but also just shifting that mindset so that actually you come from this place, as you say, of confidence, without my rant on confidence, but, around that place of truly being curious and having that courage. One of the things that, we looked at was, how do you actually come across to other people, right? So people were seeing that already. There was a lot of those adjectives being used in that exercise that we did relatively early on around that, how you were perceived as a leader, but actually how you felt inside, and what you were bringing to the table wasn't necessarily as strong as other people were already seeing you, right? So that shift is
absolutely
tangible around the delegation, which is brilliant. So we've had this time together. Your team's seen the results. We had a three-way with your managing partner as well, because that's an important part of the process to say, actually, what is the business going to see differently, and how is he going to support you through it? So I'll come back to him at the end around, where he saw your shift happen.
Yes.
That's always quite interesting, isn't it?
It was really interesting and so helpful to get that feedback from him.
Yeah, and to really have that level of engagement, I think, is so important at any level, but certainly, at partner level, to be able to rely on that. So we had this sort of amazing journey together. What was an aha moment that you had? Take me to sort of that moment when you knew that the coaching was working, because sometimes it can be a bit
Hmm.
nebulous, like, oh yeah, we're having these sessions. What was a moment, Andrea, when you knew, oh yeah, the coaching's working?
I think there's been a few, but I think the key one that was really powerful for me was when I, on a monthly basis, I do attend a leadership meeting and I present a report on sort of my quality and risk agenda, which I'm leading for the business. And it's quite technical, it's quite detailed, and there are a number of colleagues that are quite skeptical sometimes about, obviously the work that we're doing and the value for that as well. So I always have a bit of apprehension before that meeting. But I went to that meeting and presented last month. And as well as just being prepared, I approached it really with a bit more curiosity rather than, oh my goodness, what's going to happen in this meeting today? It was more about, let's be open to obviously how this will play out and the contribution I can make. And so I felt really calm and confident before and during the meeting, and presented a really positive report, able to respond to challenges or questions from my fellow partners, felt comfortable with those responses, and I came away from the meeting really feeling that I'd contributed something significant and of value, and that I was regarded as the subject matter expert, and that's my role, that's why I'm there. But I just felt really confident in that. And if I was going to get a challenge or questions, then so be that. I will respond to it. If I can't respond to it, then I'll find out the answers and bring that back as an action. But I came away from the meeting really feeling very empowered and confident. And for me, that was a breakthrough, because that's what, you're absolutely right with what you said before. That is what I do and have done in the past. But in my mind, there was a shift in that I really did feel confident and assured, and I was in the right place, and that was my role, and that was what I wanted to achieve from some of the coaching.
What was it about the way that we worked together that really allowed you to get those results and that breakthrough?
I think that, absolutely, such a strong impact from you in that you believed in me. You are so positive. You can understand the way my mind works and where I've got little demons that are nagging away at me and how to resolve them. And I think, throughout the journey, you've highlighted great moments of success. I might not have even recognised them as success, but you've highlighted them, which has given me the confidence and that positive feeling. And you've made me really believe that anything really is possible. You've taught me to be curious and to be open, and not to be fearful, to be me, to be unique, to share my wisdom. And it's you that's given me that confidence to think that way, which I will take out into the world.
You will. I was just the catalyst. You did the work. That's the thing. It's just eliciting that from you. And it has been my privilege to be that catalyst for you. I'll tell you the proud coaching moment for me, one of the many, was when you went on holiday and you took that time off, because you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, so much busyness, right? And continually being on long days, a lot of balls that you were juggling. And when you said to me that you'd taken that 5 days and you hadn't checked your emails and you had stayed in that place of time for you, that for me was a real transformation from, the beginning of our journey together, well and truly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that really was another transformation, because I have never done that before. But I felt very confident to actually recognise I needed that time, and that nothing was going to go wrong while I wasn't there. I needed that break for my own well-being. And I felt fantastic coming back to the workplace afterwards as well.
And what surprised you? Because sometimes people have, thoughts about what coaching will be or won't be. What surprised you about the coaching program?
I suppose a couple of things. One, I think that, I had such a great connection with yourself, and with the wisdom and the knowledge that you have, and how you could facilitate that, and you could really understand some of the challenges that I've been experiencing and how you could help me with that. And I was also just thrilled that you were available, just with responding to the ad hoc messages. Sometimes if I had a moment of doubt or question, that I could call upon you if I needed to outside of the regular meetings, and that you just sort of was sort of with me as I was working through my life, not just on a professional but on a personal, anything that was having an impact on my own well-being and my thought process, that you could really relate to that, understand it, and support me with that. And so that was just fantastic. It's just been a really rewarding and fulfilling experience.
Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned the piece about anything being possible now. And as many of you know who are watching this, I am a possibilist, a professional possibilist. You are a possibilist now, Andrea, as well. So with that in mind, what is possible now that seemed impossible once?
For me personally, that I can be that confident and liberated individual, that I can really make a difference. I can make a change. I can respond to any challenge. I can tackle difficulties, and I have confidence and self-belief that I can achieve what I actually set out to achieve. And if there's challenges along the way, there's always a solution, there's always a way around them.
Coming from your wisdom, So I said that we'd come back to the idea that we have this three-way at the beginning and in the middle and also at the end with your managing partner. And I asked him to describe you in one word at the beginning and one word at the end. His word at the end was sort of around the idea of being steely, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And bringing that level of, I guess, assertiveness to your role as a partner in the firm. How would you describe it in one word of where you were at the beginning, Andrea, and where you are now?
I think that at the beginning, probably I was hesitant and a bit unassuming, and sort of I was also sort of probably quite exhausted. Geeta, I was sort of lacking a bit of energy and passion because everything seemed quite overwhelming with what I was working on and where I needed to be. But now I feel very assured and calm, and I definitely feel liberated in that I've released some of those anguish or challenges that I felt weren't possible. And so the feedback from the managing partner has been really positive. He's seen a difference in my style and approach and who I am as a leader and a partner in the business. And that's just been so positive for me to see that there's been a real output and a change in me in the right way as well. So not only can I be that strong, confident leader in the firm, but I'm also confident and self-assured for me individually.
I love the professional and then the personal as well. And that word of liberated, right? That's come up in so many of our sessions. Yeah. So if people are feeling inspired by your story, Andrea, and they want to be that strong, confident, liberated leader or professional, what advice would you give them if they're thinking about investing, the time, perhaps the money if they're paying for it themselves? What advice would you give to them?
Well, obviously, from the experience that I've had, I would absolutely take the opportunity. Invest the time, commit to the coaching, because it is so rewarding, and you will see that difference. And then, as you approach the coaching, just be really open and honest in the sessions with yourself, Geeta. Be true to who you are. So be really open and honest, because then that way we can help each other. Share what you can and really be open to what is possible for you to change and to have a real positive benefit either in your personal life or in your professional life.
Love it, because anything is possible. Anything is possible. Thank you so much for sharing your story again with such a level of openness and vulnerability, Andrea, and I'm sure inspiring other people, because it doesn't matter how senior you get, in your career, there's always an opportunity to find that level of calm and assuredness that you said, and strength, and the gift that you've given to your team as a result, and the way that you have been able to develop them has been a wonderful thing. It's that ripple effect, right, that we then start to see, which of course for me is very rewarding, because it's not I'm coaching you, but actually the ripple effect is wonderful.
Supporting each other. No, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for everything that you've done.
My pleasure. Thank you for saying yes. And I look forward to continuing our journey together. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.